Alright guys, so what I've done here is this is a brick veneer steel roof house, and normally they're 900 centers, which these are. So the long battens are we've identified as a truss above it, a roof truss or cord. So you find the cord by either going up in the roof and drilling through where the cord is, and you can identify it from underneath here then. Then you also, with the other blue lines here, are the battens that run the same way as the castellated ceiling is going to be. So I've just gone to my truss on certain, these two long ones. So that'll be a truss running through the whole house, the bottom cord of a truss. So you screw and use 150 or 125 screws, batten screws that go right up through into that truss. Gives a good fixing. The other intermediates, I've staggered them at 1800 just for purpose of, if you have to, you can run them all the way through, but I've just done it just for the sake that it's quite cramped where we are. And that's, so that'll be where a joint will be here. And you'll probably put a cleat there as well, just to give it a good fixing detail as well, which will just be like a 300 cleat on the joiner here. I'll take a video or photo of it when it's done. You can identify it then. Overall, the batten screw for the for these here, the ones that go into your ceiling battens, the hat section ceiling battens, will be 75mm. Just a 75mm screw to go through, a batten head screw, and straight into that batten. It's you could put some Max Bond fixing glue if you wanted to, but in this case I think the fixing is quite suffice to the opposing ones that run on top of the cords, the roof truss cord. Further to my last video on the truss and the batten fixing, the specific details of this castellated flooring, ceiling lining and wall lining is it needs to have a maximum of 600mm span. So I've done 450, 900, 450, 1350, so they're all at 450 centers, which are well under the 600 span. Battens have been completed and fixed. We're at the stage of installing the cover width, or the cover strip here. It's a C-channel, comes with it, comes at 2.7 meter lengths, and this part here is a critical stage of fixing, so that has to be fixed in with screws. If you can sort of focus in here and see the screw there, fixes in there. Again, I'm about to join, I fixed that one there, I'm about to join that piece here, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't join on a batten. The one thing that I always take into consideration is I use the factory edges, which are the ones that are cut square as. I always put them in the middle, and my cuts I always leave down to the end. My longitudinal cover strips put in, I always take this one and fix this side in, or you fix one side and leave that one float, because that'll be a separate angle altogether. I'll get to that later. But this is the one here you put in. I'm going to zoom in on that. So your angle will go all the way through to that part over there. Just a tile cutting diamond blade for a little 9 1/4 drill grinder. So it just basically cuts it nice and square and nice and neat. So because these are the ones that are seen, I basically go like that. Sort of goes on an angle like that. And I cut that part out there. It's sort of like a little bit of a cut out of it, like that, so that that can slide into it. That is what it look like, so I'll cut it like that. Basically fits in like that. You have no, it's all black in there, no one can see any air or white spots. So that's the final part of the fixing stage for that corner. We've left that part off over here, as well as that will be cut in expansion join in the castellated panels. You can see the packaging comes in the, this is the 4/8 and there's 4 every pack. So it's basically, you cut the top part here with those, where the tape is, peel it off like that. And they're sort of inside on top of each other. They got a lot of padding there as well, just so it doesn't rub. Well packed. So the next part is you cut this edge off here, and the other edge is where the clips go, and I'll show you that soon. It's a different edge to that, so I will cut this part off here as a starting. It's not to do on every other one, it's just as a starting strip. We always cut this part off here, this tongue. So here we go. I'll get it where I want it. About there. Tighten up your guard. The castellated cladding has 2 tongues, so it's a bottom tongue and a top tongue. First one we just did before, if you look at it, that part there comes off and that goes through your C purlin. And then that's basically, that's the fixed side. And then when you look at your battens which run this way, they go in and basically you screw up through there into the batten. And that holds that side in. The next side here will go over the top of that, nice and neat. And that tongue, as we talked about, slides up into there, into that groove. You've got to really try and click it in. How this works is you push it into that little groove. There's a groove here. You push it into it. Now I've got a 30mm self-tapper. Okay, so we're at that stage where we had our second one fixed. So if you look at it, this is your cover mould. As you can see, it goes in to there, it locks itself in. The next part is you've got to try and get that to lock in nice and neat there. So the best way I've learned is basically go on an angle and then try and clip it up and just sort of clip it as you do it. So that's your next fixing part. Then you just basically over here do your little metal clips from here onwards, like we've been doing. So that's how it all comes together. So I'm ready for my second sheet. As you can see, all fixing brackets have been screwed in. And as you can see, that's our gap up there. You have a good sized gap for shrinkage. It'll have a cover strip that goes over it, but that's normally glued on over that side. This side's fixed. So the key to this is, if you have a little bit of a trouble getting it in, bow it in the middle. Get someone, put it into your groove over here. You bow it in the middle here, and then you basically push it up into that, and then you clip that together with your... So we've sort of got to about 5 panels here, and we're getting close to center. We're just doing our penetrations now. One of the things also taken into account you know, if you're a builder you'll know this, but is your parallels. Make sure that you've got parallel from your external point up here to that wall, and that the same measurement is from here to that point there. So just always check your parallels. This one's running out about 5 mil, so I'm just growing it a little bit on this corner here to pull it out so I can get that extra 5 mil and bring it back to a parallel. So the downlights I'm using are black. I prefer black because it suits the aesthetics of these panels. So I'll choose the black. I've got this from Bunnings. It's just standard downlight, and you can either change. You can also change the colours from just to like a yellow light through to a bright white light or blue light as well. So the bit I'm using is a 92mm bit. You can use it, depends on what's on the box of your downlights. You might use a bigger downlight, but this is what requirements is a 90mm. I'm using a 92mm, just gives me a bit more play. I normally would pre-drill a hole where I need to put it, just a little 30mm. This makes it easy for the auger bit to go through. Clean. I always use the slow mode as well. So we've completed all battens in the area. I've disconnected the fan here. I've also reinforced the fan area with some timbers. So just screwed to an existing member inside the roof there, and brought the fan light cord or lead through. So we finally caught up to the fan, and I've put a 30mm bit, or 40mm bit, sorry, 40mm bit through it. Just gives me enough clearance as well, and movement and expansion on the lead. Just keep it clear. Alright, so we come to our completion of this room, our fresco area. I've got one sheet and a cut or rip, which will be against the wall here. Just checking everything's right to go. Always check your final measurements as well, so they all work out nice and neat. We're at our final cut, and I've allowed a good 5 to 8mm for span as well. Here's our final cut here. So it was 160 overall. I made it 152. So a bit of expansion, and normally I cut the back edge off these cover strips. I normally cut that back edge off there and just maxi bond it to the top once I'm finished with it. But in this case, kind of measured it with some play, and I'm just going to screw through each individual batten a black screw as my final fixing for this. So our final board's been fitted, and we put the C cover strip on it. Cut it nice and neat all the way through there. That's the final cut of it all, and all we do then is we broom it off with the broom. Just give it a quick little broom off and all the off cuts and